before you tonight. I want you to look somebody in their face. And I want you to stare them down real good. And just as mad as you are for them staring at you, you stare that much harder back at them. And I want you to ask the question, when will the real believers come out of the simulator? Now some of you are already lost and you're trying to figure out, what is he talking about the simulator? When I was growing up in Sumter, South Carolina, on Harvin Street, didn't own it by the way, down the road from Jehovah Missionary Baptist Church with Dr. Marion Newton, the pastor. One of the things that was always important to me was what we call vehicles. And I would always be infatuated as I would see all the cars riding through the community, and I kept thinking to myself, I want to be able to get behind the wheel of one of those cars and drive like everybody else. And so, because my mother was working 2 and 3 jobs trying to support us, and she did not have the financial means to accommodate my desire when I wanted to drive, she said, Harvin, I can't let you drive right now because I can't afford to add you to my insurance. Now some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And so she said, but what I will let you do is I will let you get the training so that when the time comes that when you can drive, you will be prepared to get behind the wheel of the car and drive. And so she said, when you go to school, what I want you to do, I want you to sign up for a class they call driver's education. And driver's education is a very good class to take. I encourage some of us to take it again because, you know, that's not the story. But driver's education is a very good class to take because you go through all the materials and you get prepared so that when you get the opportunity to drive, you will have what it takes in your head to make sure that you don't hurt yourself or someone else on the highway. And I love driver's education, but there was one particular day out of the week that I took driver's education that was my favorite day of the week. It was the day that they allowed us to go to the other portable that they had what they call the simulators in there. And what the simulator was it was a screen and it was a little booth and you would get in it and fasten your seatbelt and you would sit down and you would get behind the wheel of what looked to be a car, and the screen would come up and you would be able to turn the wheel and act like you're driving because the simulator was trying to simulate what the driving experience was really like. And I need you to understand that the Lord told me that the problem that we have in our community right now is that we have gotten stuck in the simulator. We are acting like we're doing something, but we really ain't moving. We're acting like we're driving somewhere, but we really ain't going nowhere. We're acting like we know what the road is, but the only thing is when the tape stops, we stop. And when the service stops, we stop serving. But is there anybody in this house today that's tired of being in the simulator that says, God, I'm ready to get the real deal. I'm ready to go get my license so that I can get in behind the wheel of a car and I can hit the gas and the car can go. And that's what God wants the church to do. We've been behind the simulator, Pastor Chambers. We've been in teaching after teaching. We've gone to workshop after workshop. We've taken test after test. We know what looks like to be a part of a believer. We know what the church ought to operate like.